Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Once again, on our second day of what has been a very successful and good seminar in our first day. This is the second day, and this is the breakfast meeting that we're going to have. We have a few people that will be talking in this session. But my name is Themba Mthethwa, and I can't say I'm working somewhere because I'm not working. I'm a pensioner. Broer, I'm a pensioner. I used to work, but I'm not working anymore. And I'm a retired professional. and I am also a board member of the institute. I'm the former president of the old institute, which was not a professional institute. And we will go through that just now. But for the moment, I would like to get our chairman just to make sure that the meeting is opened officially. And then I will come back. Okay.
Thank you, Mkhaya. I know that might sound a bit not much professional for a professional association. Good morning, everyone. Maybe about Mkhaya. He's from the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. And in terms of the movements of my family in our origins, we moving down from Africa, we settled on the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal in terms of our histories as a family. So within me, you might be picking a bit of a Zulu blood in some way or the other. Understand me that I'm not completely Xhosa. Even though we are regarded as Amamfengu, those who have been moving from area, but it seems that gene at times comes out very strongly of the northern Abaqolosi in the northern KwaZulu-Natal. That's why we call each other Mkhaya. Anyway, I also spiritually feel at home when I'm in KwaZulu-Natal for some strange reasons. Yeah, we'll talk about that some other day. Thank you very much, Program Director, and Mkhaya, you'll accept that for the duration of our interaction in the Institute, I will, with your permission, call him Mkhaya, regard that as a professional in the context of IPSA, so because it's what we'll be having going throughout. I'm not one of the people who want to deliver a speech this morning. He mentioned that there will be some speeches. Mine is just to welcome you to the business breakfast. Business, it sounds like some dollars and euros and pounds and the breakfast, which means some eats are involved. I hope that you will be enjoying the food that you will be engaging now. You may start with cereal and then move to the next step. But it does feel that you have already engaged the food without being invited to the table. Yeah, no, it's fine. Maybe in spirit, if you have already done it. It's just really to welcome you to the business breakfast as a family for a fireside conversation. More, but not a fire in this instance, a riverside conversation. This is where we're taking this breakfast this morning as we conclude our program of the seminar with the business breakfast. Yeah, it was thought of by the board in consultation with the membership wings that we needed to have this session slightly different from yesterday's session, which was a seminar, as you would know the term seminar, with a line-up of speakers that were speaking on various issues that are influencing or affecting or are related to human settlements. I may just say that we had a beautiful day yesterday. I woke up today with some hope, and something was telling me that we are in the right or in a good space from today, maybe different from when we came here on the 23rd or a day before. I've got a feeling that we are in a good space. We received yesterday a number of inputs, very encouraging from the opening speakers, some of whom are international speakers, where they were beginning to indicate that they are aware about our existence as this new formation in South Africa, and that they are looking forward to working with us in different ways, and they are inviting us as this institute to continue conversing with them on which areas would we be able to partner. We received those inputs from the different speakers, and we're also exposed to a number of issues affecting housing and human settlements in the continent. It was quite an enriching session that we got in. I won't go to what they were saying, of course. We also were able to receive the ministry talking to the seminar yesterday as well through the deputy minister. We were aware as a board that there is a MINMEC that is happening in OR Tambo municipality in the Eastern Cape, in Mthethwa. That's the reason why the minister and even the deputy minister could not be with us. It's not like they were kind of running away from something. They are leaders, and they are women leaders and leaders in their own right. They could have come, the deputy minister could have come in person. Her office indicated that is the reason that he could not come in person, because they had to be in the MINMEC. She was breaking from the MINMEC. So we received a number of inputs in the afternoon also as well from the different panelists, locally and internationally. I think we're aware as a board that we didn't have enough time to engage those inputs as we might have loved to do, I think, as participants of this seminar. But I may mention that it's not something that we didn't anticipate as a board, that may not be possible. We did anticipate that when we were shaping even the seminar. Maybe let me say that it was intentional to have that line-up of speakers, moderated panel discussions, one following each other. The intention was to locate the institute in the business of human settlements in South Africa in a manner that positions it as an institute that is not inward looking, but is concerned about matters that are facing society and the sector. In that process, we needed to also ensure that when we do that messaging, those who have studied communication sciences might understand that when you use a slot, if you are given 5 minutes in the media to speak about something, 3 minutes, you have to ensure that you structure your message within that 3 minutes so that it realizes the impact that you are seeking with that message within 3 minutes. The intention was to have a big bang seminar that is sending a clear communication about the evolution of a professional association in South Africa, which is about ensuring that the quality of service delivery in housing and human settlement is made better. And we needed just to do that yesterday, but also to understand that we are not working in silos. We're not an entity. This institute has got students, graduates, professionals, and practitioners who are experienced. We have established local and international networks from which the sector should be able to draw knowledge to improve the delivery process. So it was intentional. It was also meant to be like that. But unfortunately, we couldn't tell you those things as part of indicating what the seminar is about. The feedback is beautiful from those who were part of the session yesterday, locally and internationally. I'm receiving messages also from some of the speakers about a well-organized and well-structured seminar within one day. and how they enjoyed the quality of the seminar itself in terms of the technical support, the connectivity, how it was managed. It was truly professional. That's what they say. Of course, they're not seeing me, so they can't be by my face because I'm not before them. So that's what they say. But the beauty about this seminar also yesterday is that something we didn't mention is that amongst us here, there are students, graduates, and practitioners. Amongst some of the practitioners are professionals in their own right. They are registered in other professional councils. So they understand. They are practitioners in the space of housing, wise professionals. Yesterday, at some point, we were speaking about, we were talking at times like, we're talking about people who are not here, abangeko apa, are here. I heard in the evening when we were talking about their employers, I think one of the board members saying that, are you aware that our employers here? There are employers here. Actually, there are people who chair recruitment committees were assigned because in the system of companies and public sector and private, there's something called delegation of authority. People chair recruitment committees. Those committees you are invited to when you apply, where you are asked the first question that why should we employ you? That person who's going to ask that question is here. So it is important for us to know that. I'm just saying that it was a beautiful session. Yeah, of course, the day was long, and we had to disappear, sneak out of the cocktail evening in some way, go to the back door, because the day was truly long. But at least we're coming back today to conclude our work. I won't be taking much time, but I might just share with you that I am encouraged as I'm standing here about what has become out of these 2 days up to this point. I'm also encouraged because the deputy minister went back to the minister, I believe, because they are together in the Minmek in Tambo district municipality, and surely the minister knows also exactly what happened yesterday and today. And I got to also know somehow that the National Department has got a strategic planning session next week. And someone also whispered to me that in the agenda there is an item called professionalization. On that note, I want to welcome you to the business breakfast and to say that you are welcome. Hope you enjoy the breakfast. And thank you, Mkaya. And thank you, board member, for them. And thank you, Mkaya, for me.
Thank you very much, Mkaya. You must just be careful, Mkaya. I remember in 2001, we had a scoping exercise at the Department of Human Settlements. So I'm not going to say who the minister was, who the program director was. But when it was question time, or when I got into the meeting, I went and sat with the people that were in the meeting. Somewhere around 45, 50 people were there for the first scoping exercise meeting. And then I got in, sat down, the minister came in and did this to me. So I went to the front to the minister, and he or she said, "Sit here." So I sat there. The program director was not aware that the minister has decided that I sit in front. So he is directing the program. Maybe at all times he was just asking himself, why is this man here? Because I didn't bring him here. So, and then the question time, people were asking, my praise name is Nyambose. So people raise their hand and say, this question is for Nyambose. Imagine the program director is not a Zulu-speaking person. This question is for Nyambose. So the program director says, please, when you ask the question, tell us who you are referring the question to. So Mkaya, you must be careful that not everybody will understand when you say Mkaya, but that's how we call each other. Instead of board member and chairman, we say Mkhaya. But it might confuse some people. But we are Mkhaya in any case. Yeah, we have a program that we will be doing now, which will be about a moment to showcase youth excellence in human settlement sector. We will be asking Siphokazi and Kutlekonke, who are in the board of IPSA, to help us with that. Because I'm not supposed to be in this group because I don't qualify to be in this group. I can't talk to the youth because they will say, oh no, it's because he's old. He's got everything, he knows everything, he thinks he knows everything. So it's going to be people who are not far from the youth that will be dealing with that program. After that, we will have a reflective moment, which will also be done by the Human Settlements Youth Competency Report. Not by the report, but it will be done by Siphokazi, and it will be that report. So I will be talking briefly about the history of the Institute, and thereafter I will hand over to Kutlekonke and Siphokazi. Siphokazi will then do another item, which is organizational pledges, that we will have people that have assisted us to be able to do this program, this seminar yesterday and today. And thereafter, Siphokazi will also ask the chairman, Mkhaya, to come back also in that slot. Thereafter, we will ask one of the board members, Advocate Tladi, to say a few remarks as well. And the vote of thanks will be done by Ms. Sulufelo Rasitlako from the National Department of Human Settlements. So that's how this program is going to go. But from my side, just to start by saying that the institute that we have today, that we are all about in this seminar, is a professional institute. But before the professional institute, there was a non-professional institute. And this process of getting the institute into being a professional institute started in 2001. I was lucky? No. I was the person that was the president of the old institute at that time. Maybe the lucky part comes from the fact that in 2000, I became the president in 1999. In 2000, I met the president of the Chartered Institute for Housing in our conference in October 2000. And talking to the president of the Chartered Institute, I'm sure yesterday you did see the president talking that she is the first black president of the Chartered Institute for Housing in the UK. I'm also a member of the Chartered Institute in the UK. That process happened after 2000, after I met the president at that time. What they used to do at the CIH was when the president takes office, which in the CIH is only for 12 months, for 1 year. When he or she takes office, he or she decides on what they call the presidential appeal, on what project, what country they're going to assist during their period of presidency. So he chose, Brian Fairclough was his name. He chose South Africa as the country that he would like to assist. And the country needed to say where it needs assistance, with what. Then he would go back and say, this is what my appeal is going to do in South Africa. So I spoke to him, we had a discussion during the conference, and he agreed that because my interest was in seeing the institute being professionalized in the same way as it would help the industry, the housing industry at that time, to be professionalized. So that's what I discussed with Brian Fairclough, and he humbly agreed that he will be able to assist the institute. The membership of the institute at the time was just anybody, whether it was a construction company, was an individual who had interest in housing in South Africa, would then become, there was no qualification criteria for being a member. You just registered, pay the membership fee, and become a member. So Brian Fairclough, in his discussion with me, said to me, do you have a academic qualification in housing? I said, no, we don't have that. We have bits and pieces of housing academic qualifications being provided by different universities. And at that time, because I was staying in KwaZulu-Natal, I knew about the one that was done by the University of KwaZulu-Natal, which was University of Natal at that time, the Masters in Housing. But it was only at the level of masters. I think it was 1 year, and that was it, done by people who had other degrees, but not because there was no housing degree. So he said, that is where we have to start. We have to start by establishing a housing degree. So for the industry to become professional, it can only do that after qualifying at the university, after a bachelor's degree. So he said, it was in October of 2000. He said he's going to go back. His term was going to expire in June of 2001. So he's going to go back and talk to the CIH and tell them that he has chosen us. He wants to do professionalization of the industry of housing. So he went back, and I think it was 2 months, I got an invitation to go to CIH in Coventry in the UK, because he had already arranged that I come there and they present me with what the whole program of professionalization was going to happen, how it was going to happen. So I went there in February, and the other thing that he did, which he didn't tell me about, was that he had also arranged that I become on that trip, I also become the guest in the House of Commons. So the House of Commons is the Parliament of UK. So, but he didn't tell me. So maybe he thought I was going to be afraid to say, no, I can't go there and all that. But it was good that he didn't tell me. It came as a surprise, and I went there. But unfortunately, on the day that I went to the House of Commons, the budget vote was the Department of Education. It was not the Department of Housing. It didn't coincide. So, but it was just a matter of me representing South Africa and then seeing how the House of Commons business is run. And I saw that to compare it with how our business here is run. And of course, there was a little bit of a difference. So he took me there and then took me to Coventry, which is the head office of CIH. And when I got there, some things, I think, because we have students, and we have Siphokazi and Kuhle who are going to deal with them. Some things, before they happen, when you think about them, when you dream about them, you don't see them. And sometimes you give up. But some things need you to proceed with following up on them. Now I'm flying from South Africa to the UK, thinking, I wonder what they are going to say to me, these people. Are they going to give me cash? And how am I going to deal with the issue of this cash? And who am I going to get to help me with continuing with the process? So I got there, and everything has been made possible for me to continue with the dream of professionalizing the sector. In the sense that money was being availed for the process, and also 2 very senior education officials were made available for me to come to South Africa to do the scoping exercise. I was then educated in terms of how you start a degree. Because when I was thinking about my discussion with Brian Fairclough in the meeting in October, I was saying to myself, how do you start a degree? Because there are 26 universities in the country, they've got degrees, but I had never known how the degrees were established. I found them in the universities. And going to the UK, going to Coventry, listening to the people there telling me how it's going to be done, opened my mind, and I said, if my responsibility is going to be organizing what they call the scoping exercise, organizing meetings like this meeting here, it's going to be very easy for me to do that, because the institute at that time when I was president was highly supported. My colleagues from the institute that were there at that time, most of them are sitting in front here, they can tell you that our conferences used to be full house. We used to have more than 500, 600, 1,000 people at a time in the conference. It was the only housing conference that was happening in the country, and highly supported by the Department of Human Settlements. So I came back, started the process of establishing these meetings that were going to happen around the country. And it reminded me now, when I was doing the road shows, that the same setup, the same mentality that I had at that time when we were establishing the degree is the same mentality that I have to use now to be able to get the process going. Unfortunately now, because people are no longer as committed as what they used to be with the old institute, somewhere in other provinces we were not able to get attendance in the manner that we anticipated. But then going back to starting the process, and I have to mention another thing which is very important. Brian Fairclough, the one that was helping me, his term was expiring in June 2001. Because we spoke in October 2000, I went to Coventry in February 2001. And in June 2001, his term as a president was going to expire. Fortunately, there was an indication of who is going to be the next president. So in June, when I went to the CIH conference, Brian Fairclough had to step down. I was then introduced to another Brian, who was going to be the new president. And this Brian it means my Brian Fairclough that was helping me had been able to convince him to continue with this appeal. And that's how I was lucky that even though we had not started the process in 2001, in June, when he took over as the new president, he just said, no, he's not going to choose his own project. He's going to continue with the South African project. So that's where I was lucky, because then he was able to authorize the two officials or education specialists to come during his term now, not the term of the person who had his appeal being done. So they came in 2001. We had the scoping exercise around the country, and we were able then to speak to the industry. Strange enough, the issues that are coming out even today with the new institute are the same issues that came out with the old institute when we were talking about professionalization. One example, they were saying, why do you need another council when you have the 6 councils under the built environment? You don't need another one. Just choose one of the councils. There's SACAP, there's EXA, there's the Project Management Council, there's the Quantity Surveyors Council. Choose one of them and let the human settlements professional system body come under one of them. But I said, no, but SACAP is for architects. EXA is for engineers. So we are not architects, we are not engineers. So we need to establish our own. And we need to make sure that we also go as far as the council, because the council will fall under the Council of the Built Environment, the CBE, but under human settlements, not under the other councils. We still have that argument from some of the professions as well, even now. So we started the process. The process went through from 2001 right through until 2012 when we launched. I'm not going to say what happened during the process up to 2012, because we might be here for a longer time than what we anticipated. But I want to make a comment about the issue of the ministers that came in whilst I was dealing with the issue of the process from 2001 to 2012. The minister that launched the degree with us, I think yesterday, if you remember, there was a picture of Professor Cobus van Wyk and Siphokazi and Minister Sisulu. When we launched in 2012, Minister Sisulu was no longer the minister. It was Minister Tokyo Sehwale. So he was lucky that he came at that time. But I want to make a point about the fact that all the ministers that I worked with, when they came to the office, they found this process. And this process was told to them as the process that is being done by the institute, which is not a government institution, which is not a department institution, is from outside. They agreed that I continue with the process. And really for me, that was something that I wouldn't have thought. When people talk about politicians, they say, oh, politicians want to get the credit. So, but they agreed that I come. In 2012 at the Nelson Mandela University, when we launched the degree, Tokyo Sehwale, Minister Tokyo Sehwale, asked me to come and sit with the media because it was live on SAFM. The late Vuyombuli was the anchor of that program from 9 to 12. Instead of Tokyo saying he is the minister or one of his officials, directors, must go and sit there with Vuyombuli, he asked me to go and sit there. For me, that was very, very good. And I will not forget that, because when we talk about people and institutions and politicians in particular, we look at them as people who will not do what these politicians did to me. But everything, God had already made the plan. So even if they wanted to oppose it and to say, no, it must be done by them, they wouldn't be able to do it because they didn't know anything about it. So in 2012, we then launched the degree. Unfortunately for us, Professor Cobus van Wyk, who was the one that was leading, passed away immediately. Was it 10 days or so? I hear the days after the launch. And because God wanted this thing to do, he chose Prof. Mbanga from the same institution to lead this process. That is why we are still here. That is why this process is going. That is why this process is now at the level of the institute. And I want to say that the institute was established, this current institute was then established in 2016. We are in the process of launching it. We haven't launched it yet. So this meeting here is a precursor or a road to the launch in October next year, 2023. So we will definitely be launching it at that time. We started this process in 2016. So I'm just going to end there with the old institute because of time, as I've said. 2016, we started the process of the new institute, which is now a professional institute. Remember, now we have the bachelor's degree. Some universities presented yesterday and showed us what their curriculum is and all that in their institutions and which faculty the degree falls under. I just want to say that I want to thank Professor Mbanga, because Professor Mbanga didn't have to do what he's doing. Professor Mbanga didn't have to follow on Prof. Van Wyk's thing that he had started, but he did it. And Mkhaya, thank you very much for that. And I think definitely I would request that you help me by appreciating, by giving him a clap. Then next to that, I would also like to appreciate the board members of the institute and say, I know that it's difficult because we don't have the money and everything is done with the money. We don't have the money. The sacrifice, they are sitting here. I mean, you have my brother Lawrence, who is running a company. He's here. Who is in his company? Who is running his company? But because of the commitment, I know most of the board members, they are running their own companies. Forget about me, because I'm running nothing. I'm running just from the kitchen to the bedroom and the sitting room and watching the World Cup. But it's something that I think Siphokazi and Nkuhle will be instilling in our students and our graduates, to say, give yourself to the process. Don't ask the process to give you. Give yourself to the process. Be committed, and it will happen. So I just want to make sure that I don't spoil the program by saying long things. But I'm going to end here, but I'm going to say one thing that I'm not happy about with the youth, with the students. That happened yesterday. And I have to say it. And one thing good with being old is that don't tell an old person something. It will go. It will. We will talk about it. Yesterday, when we were busy with the program, busy with international education, basically, of how other countries are doing things, busy with serious things, the students were sitting under the trees outside here. I was just lucky that Tando, who is the secretary of the institute, came to me and told me that Baba, as he calls me, your students are sitting outside and the program is continuing. I was very unhappy. I went to them. Those that I spoke to will tell you that what I said to them. And I'm going to say it again because we went into the extent of finding money to bring them here. And they come here and they go and they stay under the tree. What are we going to say about the developing a black child in South Africa if this is the attitude that we are getting from the students? We didn't bring them here so that they can see us and praise us for whatever has happened. No, we brought them here so that we can help them. That was the first thing. Fortunately, they agreed to come in, but later on they disappeared again. I was not happy because I would look at the back and I would see the chairs that a lot of them are missing now. The last thing to the students, I was also not happy. And those that were here, all of us were here yesterday, with the student who stood up and said, I went to university, I did a 4-year degree. But when I went home to tell my mother what the degree is all about, I couldn't say. I said to myself, unfortunately, I've never had any of my kids saying to me, they've done 4 years, which I paid for at the university, and they don't know what they were learning. For us, the older people, students cannot go to university, come out, finish the human settlements degree, come out, go to elderly people, or go to the community and say, I don't know what my degree is all about. After 4 years. So I wasn't happy with that at all. And I would like to raise that to say, we have a problem of municipalities and human settlement departments. We are being told they don't understand where to place the graduates. And yet the graduates themselves don't know what they've studied. How is that possible? Can I just ask that we stop that? For us to be able to help the process, to help the country, not to help us individually, to help the country, we must stop talking like that. When people say, this is a new degree, so everything that is new, people don't know about it. It's up to you to educate these people and to say, this degree is this and this and this and this and this, and this is where I think I will contribute with this degree. Thank you. So I wasn't happy about that yesterday, and I hope that the students are listening to me, and it's pointless hating me for what I've said, because it's not going to do anything for you. All that you have to do is commitment. Commit yourself. Start by knowing who you are. I like music. I have a lot of music at home. I can open a radio station and play my music the whole year on radio. There's a song that is sung by the Temptations. And the Temptations say, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. It's a big statement. Find out who you are. Then you will find out that whatever you make, whatever comment you make, might not be helpful for you and for the people you're making that comment to. And I'm going to stop there. And I know that it was a difficult part of my discussion that I said, but I needed to say it. And I'm going to call my next director of the program, or both of them, to come and sit up here, and then I will go and sit down. Siphokazi.
Siyabonga baba. I believe that most of us are cultured to understand when words are coming from the heart and from a place of love and with great intentions to help us grow. My name is Uguslegonke Watuntuli. I am a social, political, developmental practitioner in South Africa. I'm a board member, but I want to tell you who I am just by narrating my journey. Because I do believe that in the midst of everything and all of our frustrations, we all have a good story to tell. We all come from somewhere. And some of our frustrations come from us just wanting more out of life. Whether you have just started out in the industry or you just really just want a job, really. And so today, we'll be showcasing the excellence, the products of society, but most importantly, people who have committed their lives to servicing human settlements in South Africa and on the globe. These are the young people of South Africa who have said that I could have studied anything else, but human settlements is at the core of what I want to live, of how I want to live my life in South Africa. So before I call onto the stage our young people who are filled with excellence, let me just tell you who I am. So people call me Uwatu, but I've decided to rebrand and say Nguguhlegonke because of professional reasons. I'm a 27-year-old, but this is where my journey starts. There was a time where I realized, well, I spoke English in high school, and so I thought that, well, I'll get everything that I want. And then I went into varsity and realized that I was actually poor. Regardless of the titles and the middle class status, if you can't afford education in university, hey bo, you're poor. You're one of the people in South Africa who cannot access the basic socio-economic fabrics of society. So I got there and I decided I had no choice, but I had to fight. I had to put up a fight in ensuring that I finished this thing called a degree in the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Now in that time, this thing called free education and fees must fall had not become a reality. And so each and every year, at the beginning of the year, we'd go and march onto the streets and fight. Protesting was something that was shunned down upon, was something done by radicals and politicians. But in truth, we were just poor, couldn't afford education, and we had no choice but to fight. A few years later, I became the SRC president at the age of 21, the youngest in my cohort, because all I knew was that I needed to help others the way in which the system had assisted me. Someone rose up one day and decided to fight. Today I have a degree, not because I was funded by NSFAS, but because I chose to fight. 2017, Fees Must Fall became a reality, and some of you are sitting here today and are a product of that system. I've seen some of our professionals fighting and trying to say that the system, and there are young, there are people within the system and government who have been putting up a fight so that we are here today. And so in the midst of our grievances and our frustrations, let us remember that there are people in the room who are putting up the fight. And so let us collaborate in understanding that we need to work together. My year in service ended. I understood human settlements in a different way, that you cannot access even higher education when we are not addressing how youth are accessing basic necessities such as student housing and accommodation. And so we have to applaud those who have made it a sustainable system within our institutions of higher learning, because that is where you are living. Some of you are living in dilapidated buildings, but hey, some people are still putting up a fight. Soon after that, I went on to a TV show called One Day Leader on SABC1. Now, it was when I applied my mind and my education. I had a degree, still didn't have a job. All I knew was that the country needed to change. The politics of the day did not represent the voice that I needed to hear. My reality was not represented. And so we put up a fight. I was a finalist representing the voice of young people in my country. And that was an honor. I did not win the show. It was on SABC1, and a lot of people had identified me as one of South Africa's promising young leaders. Not because of, I don't know, accolades or that I was SRC president in my days, but because I came and I showed up. I did not leave behind my identity. I remembered where I came from. But I represented my people well. Yes, we have a rural background. I grew up in the urban areas, and so I couldn't even leave that behind because there are young people who feel like when we're speaking about disadvantages in society that they don't hear anyone speaking about their challenges, and that you speak English, you have a degree. People are expecting a bit too much from you because the system is just not incubating us enough. And so in the midst of our optimism, let us still speak to reality of what we can do and what is possible. Let me just fast track the story. Now, I did not win one day leader, but what did happen is that I was a finalist. Soon after the show, I got calls from the NYDA saying, we have a global opportunity in Argentina. Yes, we did see the winners, but there was something about you that stood out. You carried the hearts of South Africans. We want you to head the delegation to the Global 20 in Argentina. I headed the delegation, and even then, South Africa was the only country that was allowed into the room and part of the G20, and I understood then that I had to represent Africa, not just South Africa. Africa was in the hands and in the lips and in the heart of this young person. And bear in mind, we're speaking about the fourth IR, sustainability, and who would be the laborers of all of this development? The fight was bigger than myself, but I rallied with the BRICS, our BRICS allies, and, Russia and Brazil came onto the fore, and they said that we need to understand that development cannot happen outside of these African lives because blood is being shed even till today. After that, I understood, by the way, I'm not getting paid for all of this. Just, I'm not getting paid. This is just your resume growing, people identifying your heart, because opportunities will come. But if you do not understand who you are, what you represent, your brand value, there'll be employers in the room. There'll be people looking for something, but they don't know that you are the missing piece. You are the missing puzzle. And so the opportunity will miss you because you walk into the room and you leave yourself behind. Another word that I learned most recently is abdicating your duties. Don't abdicate your identity. When you're a young person, you walk into the room, don't behave like an adult. Now you're trying to act like you've got it all figured out. We're still trying to figure things out. And that's okay. But in the midst of that, understand that your journey is valid, your victories are valid, your qualification is valid, and you deserve to be on the stages in which you have occupied. You might not have it all figured out. But today I'm in a board of human settlement practitioners. I pursued a master's in housing. But I got that opportunity because at some point, in the midst of chanting and singing and protesting, I understood that education was very important. And at the core of development, people lived in houses or lacked housing. And so I chose this profession because I cared about people. I understood that at the midst of everything, people had to go back and live somewhere. And if we are reproducing a society that we don't want to live in, we will keep criticizing government and abdicate our duty to produce the country in which we want to live in. And so today, I'm not the only young person who's been a part of building this country. When we are called future leaders, we are the leaders of society. We are contributing to policy. We are contributing to our society. We are inspiring young people wherever they are. And so I want to call young people who have had opportunities, and some are still waiting. I need you guys to understand, I'm speaking to the young people in the room, and maybe the adults too. I need you to understand that right now, we are in brinkmanship as a country, and you are the soldiers who will be informing the trajectory in which we'll be taking. You'll be living in the houses that you are producing. And so with all that said, I've been a political commentator on TV, ETV, on radio, SAFM, and other radio stations. And at the core of everything that I do, I inspire the youth, I develop young people, and I mentor people into realizing their potential. And so with all that said, my name is Zuguhle Gonke Watuntuli, and I'll be directing and facilitating a conversation of young people who have excelled in their journeys, graduates, students, practitioners in society. I'd like to call onto the stage Ukhotso Luthuli from NMMU to come on to the stage. She is a human settlement student. That's going to be our first panelist. I want them to come onto the stage because they are a legitimate part of this whole dialogue. It's a breakfast that is showcasing people who are doing things right. A graduate, Tukosan Dlamini, who is an intern at the Department of Human Settlements nationally. He is from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Yes, he's a master's graduate in housing and an undergraduate in housing as well. Then we have Urofiwa Tahula from NMMU, a young professional who'll tell you all about his journey as well. He is leading the young professionals in the Institute of Human Settlement Practitioners. Urofiwa, thank you so much. Can you please join us on stage? We also have Ubalungile Moto. Now, this young lady, I met her in the last gathering that we had in the students' conference in Eastern Cape. She stood up and she represented young people. She is an unemployed graduate, but there's something about her fire and the journey that she has traveled. Can she please join us onto the stage to share some of her wisdom and excellence? Now, at a later stage, we'll be asking some of you who if you're a young person who wants to pursue entrepreneurship, if you're a young person who is in entrepreneurship within the human settlement sector, we will be taking comments and remarks from you. So this is not a closed conversation. We'll be taking a lot of your remarks. But I'm going to be giving them a few minutes to come and tell us about who they are. And yeah, come inspire. Come and tell them the good stories, because we do have a good story to tell as young people. The professionals have spoken, but thank you so much, Khotso Lesotho. Can you please come?
Sorry. I just want to... Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to clear something here. Uguhle Konke is a board member of the Institute. We have not hired somebody who is going to do a program. We just gave her the briefing and she's decided how to do the program. So it's not that it's somebody who's being hired because she's talking about television and radio and all. No. She's one of us. She's our board member. There's a reason why we've asked her to do this thing. And please just listen carefully, listen to the questions, and listen to how she conducts. She did an interview when we were sitting with her in the room with an organization in the US. They couldn't believe it. This is our board member. It's not somebody we employed. So in our board, we have here the young people and Siphokazi. You will also hear when Siphokazi comes. It's fire. If your young people don't take a note from these young people that we have in the board, you lose out. Thank you. I just wanted to say that. Sorry to disturb the program.
Yo. It's a very intimidating crowd. Good morning to everyone who's in this room. My name is Khotso Lesotho. As in the kingdom, Lesotho. I am from the mighty NMMU. I have substantial background in civil engineering, and I chose human settlements because I found passion in housing. When I was calculating the the technicalities of a structure, I found a loophole. Why is it that things aren't managed properly? I have to get to the bottom of this. It led me to this course. My journey now starts. I am here standing, not as a student who does not understand what his degree is, but as a student who is determined not only to know it, but to improve it. I stand here under the leadership and the guidance of Mr. Blanche, of Professor Mbanga. I understand my role in the human settlements. You see, the broadness of it is understood to be misleading. The broadness of it is understood to be limiting. But in its broadness, this is where we find the very variations which are needed. NMMU, I understand that from a project management, program management level, tactical and strategic level, this is where I am. This is where I will lead and take forward and make sure that what I bring is strong leadership, is authority that has never been witnessed, not in this time. Authority that is based on respect, authority that is based on keeping on learning, authority that is based on making sure that everyone's views is heard and understanding that I can be wrong and I have to learn from others. But I promise, and I have shown in my work ethic, in my late coming, that I am passionate about what I engage in. Not only that, I stand here today knowing that I am a beacon in my school, I'm a beacon in my field, and I will hold up the banner, making sure that I reveal that which is important and is highly graded in my course, because it is not only I who I represent. It is not only the kingdom of Lesotho which I bear that I represent, but I represent whole South Africa. Hell, I represent the whole of humanity. Thank you.
Mr. Lesotho, this is the product of human settlements. We thank you so much for your contributions. Now, I don't want you to think that by being on stage, we have now done things differently from who you are. We're going to open an opportunity, so please take down your pens and papers. Young people, this is our session. Start taking down notes. You have a short story to tell. Now, this is something that I work with very closely. Very powerful, very impactful. Sometimes you don't have the whole time to tell a story just like I did. But right now, we want to know who's in the room, because there are future employers. I've been telling you this one-on-ones. About HODs in the room. There are people in the directorate. They might just need you as the missing puzzle. Mr. Lesotho, you represented yourself, your brand, and your institution very well. Some of us started as class reps. We would not be here if we were not class reps. So it all starts somewhere. So, Kulsani, can you please come forward?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olisan Dlamini. I am a young man from rural areas in KZN. And I'm glad that from rural areas, I have been able to overcome all social and economic structures that hinder the growth of young men. I graduated with a Bachelor of Social Science in Housing from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in 2019. And in 2021, I also graduated with the Master of Housing. One of the reasons why I chose to do the degrees in housing is because of my experiences with regard to informal settlements. I used to visit my siblings who were living in Durban in informal settlements, and there are things that I observed from there. One of the things is that people who are living in informal settlements do not share or do not have the same dreams as people who are living like in the society as large. Those people, it's not that, I used to hear people saying that people who are living in informal settlements like are lazy, they don't want to work. But one thing I observed there is that people who are living there, they are living in an environment of scarcity. Hence, their mind or their mindset is the environment of scarcity because they are influenced by the environment that they are living in. Those people, they do not have space, they do not have time, they do not have a place to dream because they spend the majority of their time trying to survive. The conditions, they are very harsh. There is crime, there are natural disasters, so you don't have the time to dream. The only time that you have to spend it trying to survive against these challenges. Then I told myself that, because I observed this when I was still young, I told myself that one day I would like to do a degree that will allow me to be involved in the process of making informal settlements a better place, whether directly or indirectly, as long as I will be able to be in that environment. Even today, I still believe that one day the human settlement sector will enable the environment for me to be able to contribute directly or indirectly in making, in transforming informal settlement into an area where informal settlement, especially young people, can be able to dream and also work toward achieving their dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olsan. You know, I'm reminded of the year 2020. It was the National Indaba. Minister Lindiwe Sisulu was in the room, and we decided to actually start speaking about the realities that are confronting young people. I do believe that in moments where we're excited, we forget the realities that make young people, you know, incapacitated in advancing their own empowerment. And so, yes, we are telling stories of excellence, and we're not trying to make your difficulties invisible. But this is a moment where you should be inspired that dreams do get answered. I took a moment when Siphokazi was, you know, when she was saying just have a moment to appreciate yesterday, be here. And I thought that when I was in grade, I think probably I was in grade 7, Siphokazi was employed by the National Department of Human Settlements with Sis Tulu, and in that moment with Mr. McLean's team, they started discussing professionalization. Someone is doing something, and dreams do get answered. Prof was somewhere working in a department, changing lives. And so be in this moment and realize that people are finding employment. Do not believe that the sector is failing to absorb us completely. There are opportunities, and our journeys are not always just linear. We spoke to Minister Lindiwe Sisulu in that day, but there were people in the room, HODs, and we said the graduates of human settlements have something to offer. A year later, I met a professional who was an HOD who said that when you stood up and spoke, I was not aware about the harsh realities confronting human settlement graduates. 2 months later, I hired 2 young people from NMMU. This was someone from a different province. And so I wanted to understand the power of your story, the power of your journey, and that truly, some of you might get your prayers answered today. Just be optimistic and ask around where people are getting employed, because sometimes it's just a matter of understanding how your sector operates. With that said, I would like to call Mr. Rofiwa, who we started with in the students chapter. He'll be addressing us from his seat. We started with him in the students chapter, and his fire and passion for the sector is finding expression in national stages at this moment. Mr. Rofiwa, you can take the stage.
It's not out of disrespect that I'm sitting down. As you might have noticed, I'm vertically challenged. So if I try to stand there, You'll not be able to see me, I think. So good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Rofiwa Taura. So let me start my journey as a student of Nelson Mandela, studying the degree which we call Bachelor of Human Settlement Development. So there is a background which normally I don't tell people, I just tell them the journey of human settlement, you know. So before that, I did industrial engineering, and then I worked for 6 months, you know. But that was not for me. From there on, so I don't like to talk about it because no one could understand me, because I just knew that I can't die doing this, you know. I wanted to do something with purpose. From there, I registered for this degree. You know, that's where I started, you know. So I started with a purpose to say, this is what I want to do. This is the impact I want to do. So the journey when I studied a degree, started my first year, second year, third year, fourth year, but when I was studying a degree, Siphokazi was talking about the soft skills which you must have. But the soft skills, you are not going to learn them from class. You have to join societies. You must be visible in the university, you know. So in terms of chairing a meeting, no lecturer is going to teach you to chair a meeting, you know. So you must be involved in the society so that you learn those type of soft skills. So what type of the soft skills or type of things I got involved in? I started as a house comm. After that, I moved. I was also a student chapter chairperson at Nelson Mandela. I was the SRC Secretary General during 2017 or so forth. And then within that, I was also involved in different things, deputy chairperson for the debating team at Nelson Mandela. So those are all the things which equipped me for the lot of skills which I wanted for the soft skills to be able to address. Okay, I fixed that one of the soft skills. Let's talk about your self-personal development journey. So I was speaking yesterday with the students. I was like, if you want to get frustrated, study this degree out of study. You'll get frustrated because you must continuously aim to equip and develop yourself. Because the nature of the degree is that is interdisciplinary. You must be able to link it up with all other disciplines. And to do that, you must be up to date with the information. When I talk about the information, I'm not talking about the Twitter information. So when we start discussing this degree, don't talk like a pedestrian. You know, there must be difference between when I say human settlement, between you and someone who has read a journal. You know, because I'm going to get facts from you. But if you're going to discuss human settlement like anyone who's frustrated, we're not going to go anywhere. You know, so what do you do? What did I do as a student apart from being given? I was given support by my lecturers, Nadia, our prof, and everyone. So when I was a student, when I was reading a newspaper, I said, hey, Nelson Mandela Bay didn't spend this amount budget of HSDA. These are the challenges. I'll write an article to the Herald and say, this is what I think is happening. This is the proposed solution. You know, so if you Google, you'll see there are several articles which I've written to say, no, this is how I think the human settlement should be moving. As a student, that's what I was doing within the space as a student. And then Cholo and everyone will attest. I'll write to the department, this is type of support I need. And those guys, McLean and everyone, they were always there to support, you know. But that support is not going to come to you sitting down complaining. You know, yeah, it doesn't work like that, you know. So you must work within yourself, and then also you must continuously aim to improve yourself. So we are sitting today with Ma'am Ivy from Limpopo Coxter and with Mr. Mukwena, the director. So they imparted a lot of knowledge, and then I think that, okay, yeah, young people who are students, they're not sitting with those people. But those are the potential people who are going to sit down on the interviews to interview you. But if they've met you here, even if you just applied, they've met you like, oh, you were at the conference, it makes things easier, you know. But you are sitting with someone you are sitting with at the bus. What's something you are going to learn there? You know, I'm not saying don't sit with your friends, but it's not a mistake that the institute has invited this kind of people with such a caliber. It's for you to network. Telling you about my networking is that during the one of the Human Settlement Conference with Mam Lindwe Sisulu, so if you saw Dr. Madigizela, you know, we became friends in that conference, that he was driving me home as a student after the conference every time. You know, so I sit with those people for the whole of semester, so I must sit with them again. What's something you are going to learn from there? So those are the things. Use your networks correctly and so forth. Okay, let me fast track because the story is too long. I get to work at what you call a Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, the PICC. So how I get there, I applied. I saw the job. They didn't say human settlement, but I saw the things which they wanted to do. I'm like, I can do these things, you know? So it was not a matter of they require a Bachelor of Human Settlement. It's a matter of I have faith in myself and I know my capacity and my capabilities, you know? So that's how I came in, and I was in a scholarship. I went to Germany, and then they've been trying to call me. They couldn't reach me. So they sent an email. I'm like, I'm this side. They said, no, we'll wait for you for the interview, you know. So that's how I came back, then interview, IDC, everything went well, and so forth. And I'm currently there, and currently I'm heading the program. We've got Strategic Infrastructure Integrated Projects, SIPs. I'm leading the National Support Upgrading Program, as young as this. You know, I'm responsible for that program. So those are the kind which we want to say. Studying is one thing, you know. I still have Introduction to Human Settlement book. I was carrying it yesterday. I still refer to it. Knowledge is about continuous learning. That's how you are going to get better. It's not about the degree or anything. There are civil engineers who are unemployed, you know. So I'm not saying our stories are going to be the same, but I'm saying at least if you work on yourself, you've got a better chance to become something or someone. Yeah, that's my story. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Rafiwa. I think one thing that I'm picking up is that the doors will open, but who will you be when you enter that room? What value are you carrying? And do you understand how you are an asset in that environment? And so just shine, young people, shine. Rafiwa, thank you so much for representing our industry well, our sector well, but most importantly, the young people in South Africa. When we say take up space, and when we're saying that we are ready for executive positions, and we are ready to take charge, you are a true example, a great example of that. Thank you so much, Rafiwa. Can we please give him another round of applause? Our next speaker is Ubalu from the University of Free State. UFS, Forte, University of Forte. And she'll be discussing or unpacking her journey as an unemployed graduate, but most importantly, inspiring everyone else who is in the season of waiting for their next. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to say all protocol observed. I am Ubabongile Wagwamoto. Yes, I am a graduate from the University of Forte, but currently I'm doing my master's at NMU. My journey, in Xhosa they say, isandla sihlambe sinye. I work with community development project as a hobby or a passion. And I needed a keyboard player, and I knew somebody in Mthethwa who had the skill, but he didn't have anything to go to school to. I was in Port Elizabeth then working in the SAP-SA supply chain because I've got a BCom degree from the University of Forte as well. And I applied for this guy for bursary. There was a bursary then. He came and I housed him in my house. And every time he would come back, tell me about the work they are doing at Human Settlement. And then I'm doing supply chain. But when he spoke, it spoke something into me. And I applied at Forte, and they admitted me, and I worked and I attended, but I had to choose because I could not balance the two because of the distance. And when I attended the first conference, I think it was in Osna in East London, 2017, something said to me, this is what I am made for. I knew that passion and purpose has collided. And I knew without a shadow of doubt that this is where I am to be. And I went on and I resigned at work. After I resigned, and there is a communique that says the bursary has lifted. But I knew that for me to get what I want, it must not be conditioned by bursary, because you must always pursue what you want. And as I attended the program in itself, it spoke to me in every way. And for some way, I knew how my economic background could be collided and could work for us to ensure and to enable sustainable human settlements. And my passion grew as much as I graduated without a certificate, but I know the knowledge that I have and I'm able to apply it now. I'm unemployed, but guess what? I'm training entrepreneurs who are living in informal settlements, equipping them with the skill, because I understand for us to be able to realize the dream of human settlement, there has to be flow of some kind of economy coming in. We have a problem. I think Prof, you took us to Eristin in East London, and we saw how far that place is from where they work. This is why the minister was crying yesterday about burdening the program, about the backlog that is not decreasing. It's because, as a speaker said yesterday, we were seeking to answer the question of the Freedom Charter of providing housing. But we provided housing far away from where they should work, where they should have their kids go to school. That is why they leave those houses and they sell them and come again and build shacks close to the CBD. And then I said, and I thought, I made presentation to say, okay, we have a problem here. We can't save it. But how about we equip these people with skill? Because now, if we give them a skill and a business ability, they'll be able to stay where we've housed them. And then maybe the backlog may decrease. What am I saying? I am here, I'm unemployed, I have the degree of human settlement, but my dream is not taken away from me, because something said to me, there's only one Babongile. I may have a twin, but I'm the only one with this fingerprint. I'm leaving my fingerprint, and I'm determined to make sure that in human settlement, I'm not here by mistake, I'm not here by chance. I was not here because of bursary. I was here because, for me, passion met purpose. Thank you.
Passion meant, because passion met purpose. Wow. Thank you so much, Womandla. Another thing about the people on the stage is that if you pick something up, is that they're all contributing to society outside of their qualification. Another thing is that they are in student leadership or student governance development, because that builds your soft skills, but it also contributes to your resume, guys. So don't say, I know I just have a qualification. By the time opportunity meets purpose, let it meet you ready to take up space. Now, with all that said, I would like to take 3 hands from the young people in the room who have a story to tell. Now, I want this to be an opportunity for you to tell us who you are and why you are in the sector, or just a short story. Mustn't be too long, but definitely this is an opportunity for us to start sharing. It's a business breakfast for young people to showcase what human settlements qualifications and housing qualifications are producing within the sector. And so with all that said, I would like to take a round of hands. And also professionals, if you have an opportunity, please, we are here for jobs as well. Let's just be focused about it. All right, I'd like to note that the first gentleman, he did indicate that it was from the department yesterday. The lecturer as well. Now it's going to have to be students, okay? Student at the back, another student. So those are 4 hands. A young lady, please, I'm that type of girl. We need a young lady to raise their hand. Thank you so much. In that order, please. First, it's this table with the 2 gentlemen.
Thank you very much for the presentation of the guys. But I'm not yet happy. I'm not sure whether this conference will come to an end if we can't see someone from the Free State to tell us the story. I don't know what is happening. That is my concern. We are at home here. We're expecting a Free State person there. Thank you.
Yo, I feel bad because I'm also not from Free State, so. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm actually touched and moved by, as a young professional as well, by their stories. And I should also put a disclaimer to say I'm not part of, okay, I am. Now I'm no longer feeling like a foreigner because I don't have any qualification in housing or human settlement. I still fall under the Council for Construction Management Profession. But funny enough, recently I've been publishing in the human settlement space. And I'll also put my colleague on spot because she's the one that actually introduced us to the human settlement space, Noloazi. She also has, she's doing PhD in housing as well. So I've attended the roadshow that was here recently. Last month we were in KZN attending a conference on the NDP, the human state capacity. You know, it's actually an interesting space, and honestly, I've been falling in love with the human settlement. And I want to say, you guys are doing a great job. So this is me saying, how can we lend a helping hand towards professional registration for this council? Thank you very much.
Can everyone stand when they are addressing? It's just for our visuals and also for representation. Just so you show up. Someone take pictures of them and then make it trend. This conference must be trending on social media because, hey, it's the 21st century as well. Yes, respect as well for the people in the audience. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ngobo, can you just also make it brief because we're running out of time? Mike.
Should I shout?
Yes.
1, 2.
It's working. Oh, yeah, yes. Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Halalisani Ngobo. I'm coming from KZN. It will be very short. Kuhle konke since not Watu anymore. I know her from University of KwaZulu-Natal also. We used to debate a lot. Whenever she brings a point, I'd always have a comment, even though she's right, I'll just for the sake of not letting her get away with it. So the reason I'm standing is because I'm still keeping that. I still have that in mind. What is making me stand here is because I liked what my fellow colleague from KZN also, who's sitting there, made a comment on how we are inspired as young people by what we see when we visit relatives or friends. But my journey, I took it as one of the stories in Bible. If you may allow me, I looked at Noah's Ark, how it was built, and how my degree is fitting right into that. Now, if you look at Noah's Ark, it was started with the base, and the base is what is making it afloat, but it wasn't built on water. So it was built on ground. So Noah's Ark was supposed to be built with a base that is very standard, a base that is very firm, and that will make sure that it doesn't sink. Looking at my degree, that is what I have, the foundation that is right in the industry and with the very good opportunities. Going further, it had to have an envelope. Now, looking at the envelope and the roofing, the rain, when water comes, it comes from above. So you should start with your base, yes, but note that the water is coming from above. We'll have challenges as the youth, but then we shouldn't focus on that. The water is on the ground that we are fighting with, not the one that is coming from above. The envelope is what we are facing and the opportunities within the space we're in. But then we should focus on the base that you have, which is the degree you have. Now, when you look at the land where the water falls, it's the green pastures that we have currently. The people that we're sitting with here, they are the opportunities that we're seeking when we're applying. So what they're saying that you should mingle with the right people, I believe that we are in the right channel as we are here, and I believe that our faces will be recognized as soon as we leave this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ngobo. Just one last hand from a lady. I'm so sorry. I'd just like to skip because I'm being cautioned about time. So there was a lady who raised her hand and then would have to just take comments from our panel, just them wrapping up. Thank you. Okay, it's fine. You can go, it's fine.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bayanda. First, I'd like to say it is an honor and a privilege to be standing amongst such beautiful people, wise and smart. Though I'm shaking and feeling scared, but once a wise man said, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today. I cannot do otherwise, so may God help me. Amen. I'd like to focus on this concept called home, and as I like to define it as a house of many empowerment. These empowerments are filled with dreams and visions, but without a home, you lose a privilege to all those empowerments. With this loss of a privilege, just like my fellow mate has said from UKZN, all we think about is to survive. To some, they dream and start to fight for their dreams and to make them reality. But for us, we first have to survive before we dream. But for us, I said that. So I'd like to admire and thank all the programmers and the founders of IHSP-SA to have empowered many millions of youth's visions and dreams and stopped this burden of having to survive. And to all the youths or my mates, I hope and pray that your dreams are to help those who still have to survive. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. With just last person, can you please keep it short? I really do apologize, but just in 2 minutes.
Greetings to all protocol observed. Thando Ngubane from UKZN. I'm a housing graduate and a master's in development studies. The reason why I'm standing here, I'm just to appreciate the time and the effort that you guys have made for us. Everyone has been through this. And when we here, we find in comfort zone. If University of Fort Hare, you have NMU, we're all struggling the same issue. And if you guys are here, it's like a comfort zone, asiko sort. Sorry, but yeah. Another thing I also wanted to say, as an unemployed graduate, it's always good to be visible. Volunteer, go wherever, make yourself relevant. If I go to MGN, they know who's Thando. Yes, I'm unemployed, but they'll know there's a housing graduate there. So what I'm just going to say, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for making this platform viable. And we hope the future is still there, and human settlement will still be recognized. And we will fight so human settlement is known. Yabong.
Thank you. She will put up a fight. And with that said, I'd like to look for a student from Free State, if you are from Free State and you're in the room. Okay, so we are identifying a gap that will be filled. I do, though, remember that in the last students' conference that we had in Bloemfontein, we had so many success stories. Mr. Stewart had, and Free State had produced so many graduates who were already participating within the development space and human settlements. And so there are success stories, but I do believe that this is a gap that we'll have to fill in the coming future. With that said, I would just like to take the remarks briefly from all of our panelists. Thank you for the questions and the bravery and just sharing your hearts with us. In this order, please.
All right. I will forfeit my comment right now to Mr. Ngala. I understand that he has something to say. He has been raising his hand, yes.
All right. Noted. Young people are radical. As a panelist.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bongo Singalu. I'm from the Human Settlement Department under the Sub-Directorate of Housing Delivery. I'm the project manager there. I'm also a master's student in MSc Project Management, being supervised by Professor Mbanga. I will then leave other heads that I have. I wanted to make some few comments. 2 minutes is fine. I just want to make a declaration that we need you, human settlement students, in our departments. Secondly, I want to make a plea with Professor Mbanga. I might leave at 11, but I want to engage more so as to how can we then collaborate with my department so as to make change. We must make change. It must now stop. There in my office, I've got a human settlement student who studied in Fort Hare. It was difficult for us to place him for internship because we didn't understand human settlements degree. So now I want this degree to be known by my department, so as for us to be able to utilize your skills, because in my department we've got so many problems that we believe that you have been equipped with skills to solve those problems. Lastly, I want this to also come to our organogram. I spoke with Professor the last time on the roadshow that we might even need assistance on our job description so that we can make way for human settlement degree students. I thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Gulsan.
To close, I would like to advise all the young people who are here. I want to say, let us continue to learn, because learning or knowledge is not a limited commodity. We must always be in the process of acquiring information or of acquiring knowledge as much as we can. Yes, it is painful. Knowledge is not easy. It is painful, but we must try to acquire as much as information as we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
On my closing comment is just to say, you must significantly invest in yourself. You will never disappoint yourself. That's all I can say. Thanks.
Thank you.
In closing, they always say what makes a good boxer is not the ability to release punches, but it's the ability to stomach them. To you guys, my fellow colleagues, unemployed graduates, we don't get off the ring, we still fight. If you take a shark out of the water, you disable it for it to be able to thrive in its power. And we are here, we are empowered, we are ready, we've been trained. Give us space and you'll really see what we're made of. You will see our skills, you will see our abilities. Thank you.
Can we please give all our panelists a huge round of applause? You can take your seats. Thank you so much. So I think to wrap up, one is to say that I'm just going to respond and wrap up quickly. One is to say that a lot of us are not originally from the human settlements fraternity. So if you're feeling uneasy and you're like, yo, they're talking about human settlement degrees and I don't have a background, it might be in finance, it might be environmental management. This is our home. But what becomes important is that we immerse ourselves in the knowledge and in the practice of human settlements. And wherever you go, you can represent this practice and actually advance your learning. And so some have only joined the practice in their postgraduate studies. So as a lecturer, we are encouraging you to enroll in any one of these institutions which have been represented today. And, you know, it's an ongoing process. You said that the lady from your university is a lecturer with a housing qualification. So this shows that some people are aspiring to be in our sector by the way in which we are representing and sharing the information that we have gathered. So go out there, represent the sector well, and make sure that we are the qualification of choice and we are a good representation of how human settlement production should be done. In closing, I would like to say that the networking opportunities in this room are endless. I would not be here today if it weren't for me taking charge of an opportunity to meet Thando Mthethwa at Bloemfontein the first time we came. We started exchanging ideas. Today, Thando has been running the institution as the secretary, and I'd like us to just give this young man a huge round of applause for making sure that we are all here today. He's probably running around. Oh, there's Thando at the back. You have been the engine of the institute as a young person. You have represented us well. And so indeed, we are not just the future of the organization, but right now we have young people who are part of the change, who are part of the evolution of human settlement practice. Thank you, Thando. So network, get to know each other, and most importantly, identify areas of assistance or advise each other on areas of growth. That's it from me, Uguhle Gonke Watuntuli, a proud human settlement student from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, a board member in IPSA, a change agent, who is willing to change the lives of ordinary South Africans through human settlement development. Thank you.
I am speechless. I really am very, very speechless this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the continuation of our family. Today, we are hearing from the youth of our family. And today is all about showcasing this excellence, this future, you know, the gold that we sit with. The truth is, the youth are the future, whether we like it or not. The truth is, the older people, including myself, I'm turning 40 next year, we're gonna die. I know that's very sad to think about, but it's the truth. If there's one thing that is certain, is that we are not going to be here forever. And somebody has to continue. And these are the people that are going to continue with the legacy of human settlements. My role today is around the competencies that we spoke about. And we don't need to go into the detail of that. I think everything was very clear yesterday. The one thing that I want to zoom into is when you are pursuing opportunities. We've spoken about qualifications a lot in the past 2 days. Experience is also something that people look at, and we all know this. Your skill, what it is that you can do, but most important is your attitude, how you show up. We spoke about it. I don't want to say a lot. I'm just going to ask our tech guys to play a short video that will just add on to the conversation of this morning.
One of the biggest issues in the country is youth unemployment. For the longest time, I've always known that I would want to end up in a space that works with young people. Our programs are work readiness programs. We prepare young people for employment in various industries. We currently are working with the wine and tourism industry. But in my career, one thing that I've learned is that you cannot develop people professionally without developing them personally.
Here today, I learned more about storytelling.
How to handle our social media as well.
How to tell your story to the world and how you want the world to see you.
Oh, my biggest dream is to travel the world.
Hi, we are in Waterfront, ne? There's the seaway, and we are at the bus. You see the red bus?
So today, PYDA is giving us some exposure in the industry of tourism. So we're on the red bus, we're viewing Cape Town as whole, the best attractions. So yeah, it's all about tourism today. I'm more interested in wine, but also I do have a passion for tourism.
One of the major things that always happens with our students is confidence.
Today we are doing an industry presentation.
Professionalism is that within yourself. The way you do things, the way you react, the way you perform to things, the way you present yourself.
I was scared and nervous, but afterhand, the feedback the judges gave us, it was great.
My group actually surprised me and I surprised myself, so I would say everything went smoothly.
We are here at Stellenbosch University. Part of our mode that we're doing, that is called viticulture. We are learning in depth about the vineyards. You know, this year is just full of knowledge for me. This year is full of a lot of growth, and I'm so grateful that they chose me.
I never had a chance to go to university. I was the first person to be a graduate in my family.
I want to be one of the best wine makers or wine ambassadors in South Africa.
My biggest dream is to become a winemaker, wine specialist, so that I can provide for my family and give them a better future. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, those young people that you see there, they only have a matric, not even a degree. They come from all kinds of places, especially the Eastern Cape. The guy who says he's there for the wine, he loves the wine, Luvo Matoso, he's now working as a junior sommelier in Dubai, working for Gordon Ramsay. And we did that in 1 year. And how we did it, we focus on 40% of technical skills, which is the qualifications that you guys have, 40% on personal development, storytelling, emotional intelligence, personal branding, time management. We do trauma release. We come from traumatizing backgrounds. We carry a lot of baggage. We need to deal with that. We deal with diversity. We've worked, the wine industry is in Stellenbosch, the hub of privilege, where in 2023, you come across a wine farm that says that they do not employ black people. We've worked in industries where there's been very limited transformation. All I'm saying is that it is possible. All it needs is this, the heart. We spoke about passion here. The only thing that's going to change the world is our passion and love for humanity. I just want to read a quote. I came in here today carrying a book. Learning is not limited to the classroom. We've learned for the past 2 days. We've been learning sitting here. There's books everywhere. We learn from conversations. And there's a quote I want to share. Well, I was just reading this over the past 2 days, and I thought this is very relevant for today. And this is a book by Robin Sharma, one of my favorite writers, one of my role models, actually. And it's Discover Your Destiny with the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, the 7 stages of self-awakening. And just one part here, a quote by Martin Luther King. Everyone has the power for greatness, not for fame, but for greatness. But we betray ourselves. We play small and timid in our own lives. We buy into the belief system by which those around us teach us to govern our lives that says, do not dare, do not dream, do not shine too brightly, or else you'll stand out and fail. That's not true. We are destined to shine. We are destined to be great. There's one part also that says here, for someone not to do what is needed to go after the life they want to the fullest extent of their human capacity is actually irresponsible, because they are not using the gifts that they have been given. Happiness and success is our birthright. We were born to be successful. We have been hardwired to do extraordinary things with our lives and present exceptional gifts to the world. That's who we are. We were born to be that. So I don't have a lot to say. I'm actually still speechless because I think everything has been said here. But really our intention for today is to change the narrative. We hear you. We've been hearing you. We've been hearing you from when Professor Van Wyk was still alive. We've been hearing you throughout the whole entire journey. But everything is a process. Everything is a journey. And everything that's great doesn't happen overnight. But I think the most important thing for me here is that each and every person here leaves knowing that we are here to change the narrative. And the young people are that voice that we need to change the narrative. Thank you. So, now we move on to what we call a call for action. You know, we're not here to just have fun and just go, you know? We are here to make a difference. And as an institute, as we've said, we can't do it alone. No one can do this alone. And we are here to call for partnerships, for collaboration. Already yesterday, the minister proclaimed and pledged, you know, their support. The gentleman just now also has proclaimed, and really, we are here to invite more people to actually partner with us. As the Institute, one of the things that we really want to drive is this whole notion of youth unemployment. We want to drive programs for youth development, youth employability programs, youth work readiness, entrepreneurship. We have to create the jobs, guys. Government can't. Government cannot do it alone. The private sector cannot do it alone. Now we depend on the youth. So we want to get to a point where we are saying, actually, the young people are no longer looking for employment. They are the employers. Where I come from in Stellenbosch, what we are doing boldly, and they are challenging us, we are building a youth-led economy that is going to be run parallel to the current economy. Because we realized that, yes, the current economy is there, it's doing its work, but it's not changing our lives very much. Instead, the current system, what we're doing, we are further growing this existing economy. It's time we became our own investors. You know, I cringe, yes, we do need international investments, we can't do it alone. But we need to get to a point where we as South Africans are investing in our own infrastructure. So my dream through this vehicle, you know, through this platform, is to ensure that young people have got their own economy so that they never, ever have to depend on government for a house. That's the ultimate goal. Everybody must be able to buy or build their own houses. And this is what we want to do. So I'm going to invite Prof. Mbanga back onto the stage. And this is where now we're going to be doing the pledges. And we're also going to invite our sponsors, the people who are here to support the initiative, to say a word or two in support. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Siphokazi, for that. And also thank you for the quite an inspiring session that we just had on the life journeys and the stories that have been poured. Before I make this, I'm going to speak just on the issue of the commitments to cooperate. I want us to close on your last point about each of us understanding that this is a journey. You just made that point. I want also to quote some other scholar who talks about achieving dreams. I can't recall he or her name. He speaks about greatness as not a measure of accomplishments one has made in life, but greatness is actually about the opposition that you have overcome on your journey to achieve your goals. People who are regarded as great are not people who are seen as counting achievements, but there are people who, in their way to achieving their dreams, succeeded in overcoming obstacles and challenges. I want us to close that first. In closing that journey, I was hoping that at some stage, Mandela University, but that day is gonna come when I will be talking about a journey still. But please know that as a chairperson of this institute, I'm not coming from a position of privilege myself. I have been through a journey. My journey might be worse than yours, in the sense that just before 1994, after I passed the matric, I was amongst the top 3 students, mathematics and science students in Somo High School in Insegregated, just before democracy. And when I left the gates of Somo High School, which I constantly visit when I go back home, I had no clue of what I'll be doing in the following year. I'm saying I was a top mathematics student in the school, such that at a point when our mathematics teacher was involved in an accident, the school principal requested me to continue with the lessons, taking the class. My classmates always make refer to us to that when we meet. They are in different professions. They will say, I was their teacher, but I was also in the same class in mathematics. But then, there were no opportunities available in the farmland government for us. It depended on whether your father was known by someone in the headquarters of the government administration. If not, you wouldn't be able to access. You needed to be connected in some way to someone for you to even secure a bursary. It was not possible in my instance, because my father used to work in the factories of Port Elizabeth, and my mother was a housewife. I was the second born in my family. So it wouldn't have been possible. I also was guided by some people, professionals in Somo, the magistrate, to apply for bursaries. Unfortunately still, the organization I was applying for, I needed to do STEM subject at university. I applied to the University of Transkei. I was admitted, but I could not secure a bursary. All letters were coming with say, I regret. There was no explanation. I was 16 years old. It didn't make sense. How? Because my academic performance at school is at level it is. My family is not having the means, so I should somehow be qualifying, because it says your academic performance must indicate there must be a need. But thirdly, I'm also living with a disability. That didn't matter in the former government, whether you are poor, whether you are performing at school, and whether you are living with a disability. It didn't matter. My journey, therefore, started with me at the age of 17, after passing matric, having to teach mathematics in rural schools of the former Transkei. I was brought in by the district education manager because they knew that I was good at school, and there were schools which were lacking mathematics teachers. I had to teach mathematics and general sciences in schools in Themba and Somo for 2 years after matric, filling in as a temporary teacher in those schools. It is on the same years that I also continued to write poetry, which was work I was doing was studying mathematics, which books were later on in life published. Those are my first publications, which Mandela University is counting them on my research outposts. I wrote them whilst I was doing Standard 9, which is grade 11, and Standard 10, which were refined by publishers and published. One is Ikamagule Vumile. It's a collection of Xhosa poems. The second one is Yindaba Kwamkosi, which is a collection of essays. It's available also in community libraries. I didn't publish it as a professor. I produced that work as a Standard 11 and then a 12 young boy. my ability to attain higher education, because my parents, my late father and my mother, who was surviving and so on, yes, indicated that, Shekula, we are unable to take you as you understand our home situation. And therefore, I knew at that point, at the age of 17 years, that for me to attain my life dreams, I will have to learn to work harder. One thing was certain with me: I cannot be a high performer in a school, but have a life which is not clear. I needed to be at a level different from where my parents have been. I had to work for my first degree. I want to close that. I had to work for my first degree, but today I'm at Mandela University as a professor. Thank you very much. This is a journey. This is a journey. I've been called. I thought, let me share that. In case when we talk about this and we think about this and us and the type of work we do, we might be missing something quite important about this. There is something that you have to work on. The young people here were just mentioning that you have to find yourself and connect yourself to the type of destiny that you are looking forward to. The point that I've been called to speak on at this session is that on this cause, we are inviting organizations and like-minded individuals who might be wanting to contribute to this. We have come to realize that this is not work of fame. This is not something that we would love to do because we have to be seen to be doing something. It has changed to be just work. I think it is something which is close to being some kind of a ministry, Pastor Motto. It is kind of gravitating to be some kind of a ministry. Kanya Chakata is talking about a movement that is being to evolve in the human settlement and housing space in South Africa through IHSP. It's seemingly it's something like change which must come, more like a revolution, which is clear that it will continue and exist beyond our being here as leaders of this institute and this work. It is work that shall continue. We are then at this point inviting people and organizations who are keen to support this initiative, this cause, this movement. Is not for us. It's for changing lives of the people out there, this movement. We're doing it because we're trying to find a way in which we can, in a small way, contribute to the changing of lives, of the communities of this country. We are trying to use the position that society has placed us to at this moment through the journeys we've been to contribute to changing lives. In academia, we say that we might be critiquing, but we must also proffer solutions to the situations which must change at the same time. Similarly here, we're trying to contribute. We're not competing with any organization, with any persons, but we're saying we want to contribute on this work. But then IHSP would need partners to do that. I will just talk about 3 issues or 4 issues which have come through thus far. I think that's why Siphokazi has invited me to speak. One maybe is just what Mr. Ngalo, as he was exiting, indicated. He's from Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, where he is seeking an engagement with IHSP around graduate placement in the metropole, in the Human Settlement Delivery Department. That is a given. We take it on record that that is one area that we'll have to pursue. And that metro is mentioning an issue. They are saying that they are looking for assistance on us translating these core competencies into job description. It is important that we note that that is that which we have to do as an institute with that metro. I might mention that this is not raised for the first time. When we're doing the road shows, the eThekwini Metropole requested the same. So at this point in time, we've got 2 metropoles in this country who are seeking engagement with IHSP to assist them in defining the job titles and their job descriptions and that we're going to take forward as an outcome of this session. And we're going to be mentioning these two metropoles because they have pronounced on these issues in the public platforms like this one. And we will mention those. We won't say all. We'll talk about Nelson Mandela Bay Metropole and the eThekwini Metropole as proceeding with us on a graduate placement program. That's the first one. The second one, Mr. Henny Boats of Moladi Construction was with us and his wife yesterday from Port Elizabeth. As they were also with us, they spoke about me, and he has raised this issue constantly, that he wants to cooperate with this institute on the work that he's looking at, on his vision around Moladi Construction. So what is the issue which came yesterday? Mr. Booth and the company, Moladi Construction, are asking IHSA to come closer to them to develop a concept of housing cooperatives in South Africa, utilizing Moladi Construction as a route of creating employment in South Africa. Please note, Moladi Construction is operating in more than 26 countries. What this says, if we shape this model with them, we will test it in South Africa, this model, I believe, but it can be applied or replicated to other parts of the continent and the globe where Moladi Construction is operating. That is another pronouncement I can make of which has been made. The third pronouncement I will make from the Deputy Minister's speech. I guess you heard her. We heard her all when she was speaking yesterday. And I had to come immediately after she spoke. I know I took some kind of something out of what I did from some participants here who were so keen to engage the DM after she spoke. But I couldn't miss that opportunity because I knew that she was running. And before she ran, she needed to understand how we understood her presentation. Deputy Minister Mthethwa yesterday reassured the institute that the department and the ministry is supporting it. She reassured the institute that the department and the Ministry of Human Settlements is supporting this work. There are two things that she raised. One is that the national program for graduate placement and entrepreneurship must be developed or is being developed. So IHSA, therefore, is going to work with the department towards developing that national program for graduate placement and entrepreneurship. We're going to work with them. I think as IHSA as a board, I said yesterday, we'll take that forward as an outcome of this session, that we're going to work with them around that graduate program nationally, and we will surely have to put timelines that by the end of March 2023, when the financial year end of government comes to an end, that program or strategy should be in place. Please note that it's graduate placement in the sector, not in Sunnyside, where the department is sitting, its headquarters in Pretoria. It is in the sector. We will be working with them very closely. We will therefore be assigning board members to work with the national department on that strategy. The second thing that the minister mentioned yesterday is a task team. You might be wondering, what is the task team now? The task team was established by the former DG and IHSA board in their meeting in September 2021. It worked on issues of graduate placement. It worked also on an MOU between the IHSA and the department. It also worked on a draft bill for the professional council establishment. That work has been done and is parked there. But also it worked on a concept of a Center of Excellency for Professionalization of the Practice in South Africa, which was about an operational tool that will attract the resources into the institute to carry forward this work. That is the task team work it was doing. I may mention that that work has lost momentum at some point, perhaps with a change of management or other. For some reasons, it lost. So yesterday, the Deputy Minister has reassured that that work has to be continued and be concluded. What that work will do, it will be therefore bringing in some level of resources for the operations of the institute. So as a board, we will be assigning, therefore, we will be reviving the task team with the National Department, Mr. McLean's office, to ensure that it sits and it plans to take that work forward. From the board, from the Chairperson's office and with Thando, we will, out of this session, be writing to the Deputy Minister, thanking her for her speech yesterday on behalf of this conference or seminar. But within that, we will also be confirming the areas that we will be taking forward with the department out of her speech yesterday. We've got a task team. What I will request Siphokazi and also the board for us to do is to augment or to bring in one graduate and one student to form part of the joint task team, which will be taking this work forward. I think we'll have to work on that. One volunteer graduate and one volunteer student from this seminar will be taking part, will be joining that task team so that it can take forward the work that is looked for within that task team. And that was the task team, and therefore, from today, that work is continuing. It's no longer in lull, or perhaps hasn't lost momentum. Mr. Themba Mthethwa will therefore be our leader as an institute in that task team, as he's also heading strategic partnerships. It's important that he leads from our side on that, with Thando, with Siphokazi, with Mr. Boyce, who's not here, and also the one student and also the one graduate will be our team, internal team, which will be taking forward that work. I will have to pause there because my task was basically about highlighting some of the statements of cooperation or intent to cooperate. But from the Deputy Minister's side, it is concrete. It's not an intention to cooperate. It's something that will happen, that we will appreciate in the letter to the Deputy Minister so that we can take forward with the administration those pronouncements. Thank you very much, Spogi. I leave it there.
Thank you, Prof. So, I mean, again, it is all about collaboration, and it's always going to be about that. I'm going to now call on CSIR to come and just share some words with us. Thank you.
So, my name is Tabang Mulifi from the CSIR. I'd like to start by congratulating you on a very successful and very important event that you had. Do I need to shout? And in particular, you could see that there has been some very serious thought that has been put into the selection of the topics and the caliber of the speakers that were chosen. So I enjoyed myself. It was a marathon session deep into the evening, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And thank you for the invite, Prof, and the Institute to the CSIR. So the CSIR, you know, I interacted with a number of you yesterday. You didn't know what the CSIR stood for. And don't worry, it's not about you, it's an indictment on the CSIR. So the CSIR is a Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. We're an entity of the DSI, so in terms of political line management, we form part of the DSI. And we're actually part of other science councils that exist in the country, like the Medical Research Council, the Agriculture Research Council, and other councils. So this is who we are. So circa 2018, the DSI gave the CSIR a mandate to develop a roadmap for science, technology, and innovation for sustainable human settlements. And last year we launched that particular roadmap, so we do have a roadmap for this work. The development of that roadmap was a very involved process. It was involving quite a number of stakeholders that are key. We had relevant government departments that participated in that. Not only government departments proper, but agencies of government, NHBRC, SALGA, AGRIMA, and so on. And in that development of the roadmap, we actually had a very strong participation by academia. We had Professor Mbanga and the professor from KZN, I'm forgetting the professor from UKZN, who had a very important role in the development of the roadmap. We had NGOs participating and we had industry participating, and not only industry per se, but the private sector in general. So we have the roadmap. We are now firmly in the implementation phase of the roadmap. So in the manner that we want to implement the roadmap, we are going to follow a decentralized model. We are not going to centralize. It is not a CSIR project. It's a national project. So we are going to form, clusters. We have identified about 6 clusters that are important in the implementation of the roadmap. Clusters such as the culture of innovation that is going to look at things like thought leadership, strategic conversations and dialogue, and influencing policy. So I'm seeing this as very important for the work that you do as an institute. Another cluster which is going to be very important is strategic projects, where we want to identify catalytic projects that can lend themselves for being piloted and for being scaled up. And as a work of the institute that I've gotten to know, that there's a cluster called directed capabilities that has a very strong R&D component on it. So I can see areas of collaboration in those specific 3 clusters. The last 3 clusters that are important are clusters like technology pipeline, technology diffusion, and digitized enterprises that is going to be led largely by SALGA. So there are areas of collaborations that we are looking forward to having. The manner and the format of this conference lends itself to follow-ups after the conference. So there's going to be quite a lot of post-conference follow-ups that we're looking forward to. And I particularly enjoyed the session, the workshops, and the interactions that we had with the youth. So we're looking forward to further collaborations and discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Putwam. Thank you. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for opportunities of collaboration. And when you talk, when you share your story, then you are able to identify those opportunities. So graduates, again, wherever you are, share your story. And then in that way, you are able, the same way we shared our story here today. So people are coming up now because they are able to identify, okay, we are busy with this, so therefore we can plug into that. Now I'm going to call up our next pledge. This is from the Limpopo Department of Human Settlements and Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And I'd like to call up Ms. Ivy Makamu, the Chief Director. Thank you.
Mthethwa. The program director, my sister Siphokazi, colleagues from different institutions who are gathered here. My name is Kwakweni. I come from Limpopo. The department, it's Coxter. I'm with me, Ivy Makamu. She's actually the chief director. I'm the director. I had intended her to come here and make the pledge. But then she said, I'm suffering from flu. My voice is not coming out. Please let me delegate you. That's the power of delegation. I also have other colleagues Bu Rakhadia Bana, Rebecca, and bu Evelyn. So I'm here to make a pledge on behalf of the department. But first and foremost, let me express it very clearly that we want to thank the organizers of this gathering for having been able to gather a high-level, quality, intellectual, academic meeting of this nature where wonderful ideas were shared under the umbrella of Partnership for Change. And also looking at the issue of the problem that's bedeviling our beautiful country, South Africa, which is unemployment, the unemployment of the youth. We are saying the ideas that have been expressed here show that we had a presence of great minds here. Not only on the part of us as the adult people, but also on the part of the youth. It was indeed, Professor, as the professor said, it was a revolution of thought. Yeah, the minds that are in this locality, I told Mbakamo that they are sharper than a Maasai spear in Kenya that penetrates the skin of an elephant with ease. That they are sharper than a Burundian machete electrified by lightning. And the ideas themselves are very rich. Those ideas are really very building to society. It's about self-development, it's about assisting your community. So as Limpopo, we are saying we appreciate everything. And our intention is to ensure that this fire of partnership continues with us as the Department of Cooperative Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs. We are touched by the youth who are still here and who have been expressing themselves in terms of the challenges they are facing. But we are also empowered by the youth who came to say, not everything is dull. To say, if you're creative and you open your mind to new possibilities and you become aware of the fact that every day is a new day, where you must learn something, where you must do self-critique, where you must say, where am I lacking? What are my strengths? What are my talents? How can I bring about a difference in the world? Then you shall do it. We are encouraging those youth to ensure that they continue to develop themselves. We are encouraging those youth to ensure that they continue to read. Rofua said it, that invest in yourself. He said that if you invest in yourself, you won't regret. Limpopo pledges to consolidate its relationship with this institution. And we will ensure that the youth that demonstrated their intellectual dynamism here will show that they can come and replace us, will be given a chance as we move as a department. That is our pledge. We will ensure that such a thing happens, not because we like it, but because the world says it must happen. Siphokazi said it very clear, that we are not going to live forever. As adults, we need to be replaced. And these are the youth who are going to replace us. And in conclusion, we are saying to Mthethwa and the leadership there, and the professor and everyone on the board, that continue to ensure that ideas that flow in gatherings of this nature are like the incessant torrential monsoon rains that annually trigger floods in the Indian city of Mumbai. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Limpopo. Thank you, Mayor Mukamu. And thank you, Pra-Ebi. We definitely welcome all of the partnership and young people, youth. You can hear, everybody's hearing, and our goal is to make it happen. We do not want to become an institute that just talks and talks and talks about ideas. We're going to be implementing these ideas. I'm very mindful of time. We have gone way over our time. And I'm just going to open up just for 2 minutes for anyone who wants to make another pledge. And remember, pledging is not only limited to here. You know, we live in a world of technology. You'll see in our banners, we've got email addresses, so please do reach out to us. In your travels, in your interactions, in your work engagements, you may come across people who are looking for graduates or projects or opportunity, you know, for funding, whatever it is, you know. Nowadays, we have to create our own opportunities. That's the reality of it. We heard in the speeches yesterday, you know, the government is trying to do the best they can with the limited resources. We heard about the fiscal, that's been reduced. We have to start creating our own opportunities. So 1 or 2 hands, any more pledges? Okay, so I'm not gonna waste any more time. Remember, our address is there, right? Our address is there, you know where to find us. Again, it's a long life process. That's the reality of it. One of the international speakers, they said, professionalization never ends. It's an ongoing process. And we all know this. We live in a world that has changed. You know, we are 2 years into the COVID pandemic, and our lives have changed. We've got a whole new normal. And really, it's all about us just really evolving and just being open to the change. We are nearing the end of our program, and we find that it's very fitting that we call our young lion to come and actually say a word. It's very unusual for us not to hear from Thando, don't you think? So Thando, where are you? Please come up. He's at the back. He's been playing Houston. You know when they say Houston, we have a problem. They've been making magic at the back there with the tech team. And we just really want to take this time to really acknowledge your hard work, everybody at the back. And yeah.
Good morning, colleagues. All protocol observed due to time. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I wish I could say many things, but due to time, I won't say many things. I am Thando Mthethwa, the company secretary of the institute. I'm also the product of the qualification, which is Bachelor of Human Settlements from Nelson Mandela University. I'm currently in East London, where I am working for the institute. So mine is to just extend much appreciation to everyone who is here. I know that opportunity will come where everyone will be thanked, but I would love to extend my appreciation to everyone, to the institute, for opening its doors for these opportunities and for these conversations. Because when I was a student, I was troubled that we don't have a professional home. We are not really recognized, and we carry on graduating. So it was a challenge that even in the job advertisement, we are not recognized. And even other opportunities like funding are no longer there due to some issues that we don't know. Some of them we know. So it bothered me, and the only hope of the students was having this institute. So this institute trying to function and find its way within the space of human settlements is a great thing to many of us, that really the change is about to come, so that we have someone who will stand on our behalf as graduates and students, who will be able to address issues that are affecting us. Because some of these issues may sound as if they are issues of the, what is this word? Are issues of at a national level, but they are more personal to some of us. So I would love to take this opportunity and to thank you all colleagues for making time to come here. I think maybe let me give a brief 2 minutes. I was going around the country doing provincial road shows. I know the board here will beat me because I had to produce a report of the roadshows, but I didn't due to time constraints. But it was great experience to go around the country interacting with different people who are potential members of the Institute to raise awareness about this professional home and to ensure that we get more inputs from them because it's their body, it's their home. So it was a great experience, but during those times, during the road shows, we get to know that people want to be members of the Institute. Secondly, other professions within the built environment want to support and become members of the Institute. So the Institute really is not the only hope of the graduates and the students, but of the practitioners and other academics within different provinces in the country. So most of the areas or issues that were raised is that the Institute needs to begin trying to create a career ladder within the human settlement space. Like in other professions, you are candidating at a certain level, you go up and you become this person, you are at this rank, and you are called a certain, you are given a specific title within the profession. As we know, human settlements is very complex. We have environmentalists, we have people who are looking after we have economic interest within the space. So those were issues that were coming up that we need to define our membership along those lines that addresses that who do I become based on my interest if I register with the Institute. So I'm sure that you are expecting those reviews to be made. Also that the graduates want to understand that if you have other qualifications like town planner, like engineer, are you eligible to register with the Institute? The Institute is a professional home of all those who are in housing and human settlement space, as Prof has indicated. So even town planners that are operating within the space, because we have a long delivery chain or value chain within human settlement. So you are welcome. I want to also inform you that the registration for membership is not open yet for the Institute to become members due to some other things that we needed to fine-tune, like the policy, code of conduct, disciplinary process, whereby we want your inputs as potential members to contribute to those documents before we are ensuring that we implement according to them. So those issues will be communicated in our communication platforms, but I think by the beginning of next year, we should be ready to be able to allow membership. Also preparing some membership benefits like the programs that are being pledged here so that you get value for money, so that you understand that this home is really your home and these are the benefits that you are getting being associated with the Institute. So those are the few updates that I would love to make and to ensure that you guys should utilize these opportunities, because I didn't become who I am today and where I am just by sitting here in the class and being clever. I was not too clever at school, but I found my way that through networking, through showing yourselves through the spaces and reaching out to relevant people, those people will be able to guide you and be able to give or open doors for you. So the Institute opened the doors for me. So I want to really encourage you, colleagues, that take up the spaces, show yourselves within the space and be able to define yourself within the space, because the major challenge that I was saying to Advocate Gladi, it is not really that this qualification is not good. We are finding a challenge that our colleagues are not able to articulate who they are and what is it that they are capable of. And that's where I think the Institute should then become relevant to them, to try and address the issue of equipping them to be able to express themselves within the space that this is who I am, this is what I am capable of. Within the whole value chain, this is where I can be able to contribute. This is how I am, according to the curriculum that I have studied. So with those few words, colleagues, let me thank you very much for everything. I am everywhere. My name is being called everywhere. So I won't say much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thando. And just a quick point from what Thando had said, where he says, the Institute opened up the doors for him, Thando availed himself to us. And Thando, for the longest time, worked without being paid, volunteered. So thank you, Thando, for committing to this institute with or without being paid. And again, this is us just really trying to encourage young people that it really starts with just really putting yourself out there. And also with regards to the qualifications, yesterday I was chatting to Mr. Mthethwa and I was saying, actually, in essence, the Human Settlements Program is only 8 years old. It's an 8-year-old baby. So therefore, it's understandable that we're not really understanding it, you know, because it's still growing, it's still evolving. So again, let us be mindful of the process and the journey and trust it, you know? And with time, as an 8-year-old, they don't really know who they are. You know, let's really go back to our 8-year-old selves, you know? It's when you are growing and understanding and exploring the world of human settlements that you become to understand the bigger picture. But each and every stage, each and every age contributes to the bigger picture. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the program. We're going to start winding it down. I'm going to call on Dr. Advocate Hladi. Please don't mind me saying that because I just really love the combination of that, to give us one closing word, and then we'll hand over to Tsulu for the vote of thanks. Okay. Can I take this one?
Okay, dumela. Le kae? Ke khale ke nyaka bolela Sepedi sa gešo. So that is why I wanted to say. But anyway, I'm also representing Free State, yeah? I'll tell you why. Yeah. You know, when you're a Tladi, you go to Lesotho, they think you belong to them. You come to Free State, they think you belong to them. You go to Botswana, they think you belong to them. And you go to Limpopo, where I come from, and they think you belong to them. So when you come to Free State, you know, you tell these beautiful ladies that I'm Tladi. They say, I'm not, you know. So they think that I belong to them. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think all is said, you know. The journey for the professionalization is continuing, unabated. We can't go back. You know, there is a Chinese proverb which says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So we are continuing in planting this tree called IPSA, which of course will culminate when we establish the council through a legislative framework. You know, I was telling Baba Mthethwa that I'm following on his heels, you know. He must provide some wise guidance, because in few years to come, I'm also going to join him in his retirement profession, you know, because I am I am 19 years in the human settlement sector, 10 in human settlements department, national, and then the other 9 years in the property market. You know, it's something that I don't think my institution is. And the human settlement sector as a whole, we are advocating the real estate as a profession of choice. I come from the real estate, the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. That's my my current employer. I don't think we're doing as much as we should in order to elevate the significance of the real estate sector or the property market as part and parcel of the human settlement sector. But I think it's an indictment on me, and it's an indictment on my institution. But we need to do more to be able to elevate the property sector as a whole, as a subsector of the human settlement sector. Yeah, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we had a very good workshop or seminar. I think we are enriched, not unduly enriched. You know, immediately you say you are unduly enriched, it means you have to pay the part that you were unduly enriched of, you know. But we were enriched with whatever we debated, and the the research that came out yesterday in terms of the presentations. I think to the youth, if you can't say you gain something, then I do not know where you were. Maybe you were under the tree. I didn't see you. I didn't see you, but I think we have all gained, you know. And let us all anticipate the official launch of the institute next year in October. You know, diarize it in your diaries so that it becomes a very big bang, as Professor Mbanga has just indicated. We will have our our big bang launch next year, October. We do not know the date yet, but just set out or diarize the whole month next year. We will fall in one of the launch will fall in one of the dates in October. So, ladies and gentlemen, with those few words, I just wanted to say, you know, we are well off than 2 days ago, and let's continue to plant this tree of a new institute called the Human Settlement Sector. And we are aware that there will be these tedious issues that we had from the youth yesterday, you know, but I think this could have been the same process that each and every qualification underwent, you know. I don't think it has been a smooth sailing in respect of every qualification. So these are common for every qualification development process and the whole implementation of that particular qualification, you know. So I think the institute is the home whereby we can actualize whatever we want to see in terms of the outcomes of having the human settlement qualifications in our sector. And that is good for the sector, yeah? Have you ever seen, actually this reminds me of something. When I joined the department, you would have provincial department where there are no engineers. And you ask yourself, but we're dealing with houses, and engineers plays a pivotal role in that particular process. And you'd wonder, why would a department operate without engineers and other related professions? Of course, it's similar to say, but why did we operate in the past without human settlement practitioners, you know? So I think let's view this new profession in a good light, you know. You might be unemployed today, but tomorrow, as and when, you know, the unemployment rate, it's a nationwide problem and challenge. You are not unemployed because you are a human settlement development graduate. That is not the reason. You are unemployed because we have a serious unemployment rate within the country. I've just indicated that I come from the real estate sector. That's another profession that you can choose to to go into. So, ladies and gentlemen, with just those few words, you know, before anyone write SIS, S-I-S. You know, in Zulu, no, SIS is not, in Zulu, it's not a bad word. It's when you are enjoying what you are doing, you know. So before somebody write that on the board there, let me rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate. Okay, and now we are officially at the end of our program. So I'm going to call on my partner in crime, Tsulu, to come up and give us the vote of thanks.
Thank you. You got my height precisely. Thank you so much. A lot has been said. And yeah, coming to the end of the program, the pressure is very high. The speakers were powerful. And here I am having to do a strong finish, to give a strong finish. So, as that gentleman said, God help me. I greet you all, and my name is Tsolofelo Rasehlaku from the Department of Human Settlements. Allow me to also say all protocol observed. And please bear with me because I have to do a bit of justice to my employer, because we have been partnering with the Institute since its inception. I greet, of course, all the executives, managers, academics, housing and human settlements practitioners, graduate students from the various universities represented here, and then I shall move swiftly along in executing my assignment. I would like to make an attempt to take a risk to poetically connect the city of Bloemfontein with this quote, that gratitude is the fairest blossom that springs from the soul. And this is credited to Henry Ward Beecher. I would like to also appreciate this chosen location by the organizing committee. And having said that, can we show that background? Yes. Take a moment to take it in. And as you are looking at that picture, I wonder if you know that this venue simply named Kopano Nokeng is a direct, an indirect translation means meet by the rivers. There is a confluence of two rivers here, namely the Bloemfontein and the Renosterspruit, pardon me, I'm a Motswana. Renosterspruit River that becomes Modderfontein River. So taking from this inspiration, I think this gathering ought to be how all the different organizations and significant stakeholders gathered here should work collaboratively to achieve common goals that will positively impact the lives of our societies, beginning with our young people, of course. The National School of Government is in the process of professionalizing the entire public sector and has thus far conducted public consultations with various stakeholders on their draft of the National Implementation Framework that towards the professionalization of the public service. This document also proposes that the professionalization of local government means having a public service that is non-partisan, especially when it comes to the recruitment and placement processes. The National Department of Human Settlements is also taking a bite of that pie, and that is the reason we find ourselves here looking at a cadre of qualified housing and human settlements practitioners in this room, and also out there who have connected virtually. For example, Mr. Kolisani Dlamini, who was here on stage, is currently my colleague on an internship program in the department. And I was blown over, not only by his story, but his confidence in who he is, in his background, and the confidence that he is going to change the lives and environment from where he comes from. And that is what human settlements is about. We heard yesterday how the sector can look at creating more youth employment opportunities through the products we offer, while restoring the basic dignity of those in dire need of the shelter and sustainable integrated dwellings. As we have now reached the end of the program for this business breakfast session of the International Housing and Human Settlements 2022 seminar, kindly allow me to give thanks to the organizers of this event, and most specifically our host, IHSA board members, and all the sponsors that have made this event possible. I also would like to thank the pledgers, which I'm not going to name individually, that have stood up and took the opportunity to have their print on this event. I would like to also appreciate the important role by the program directors today, Mr. Themba Mthethwa, Ms. Siphokazi Kwakweni, who used to be my mentor, and Ms. I call her Watu. Can I stick to that? Yeah, Ms. Nduli. They have surely set the scene to plant the seed for our soon-to-be human settlements, young practitioners or professionals, and knowledge generators in this space. Ms. Kwakweni and your fellow program directors have also driven a high energy-paced engagement that has looked at the challenges outlined from the previous day and connecting to today with regards to the recognition of housing and human settlement specific qualification in the public service human resource planning strategies that should include these rare graduates and soon to be experienced and later, hopefully, well-seasoned practitioners. A heartfelt gratitude goes to all the organizations that were represented here, and I will quickly just go through mentioning some of them. And I will have to start with the Nelson Mandela University. That is the first university we approached. And as you've heard the history and the story, we also thank from the same university, Mr. Johan Terreblanche and Ms. Janine Holmes. We also thank University of Free State, Mr. Thomas Stewart, so supportive, so positive, so impactful, and also Professor Marlene Campbell. I would also like to thank from the CSIR, Mr. Thabang Mulisi, who stood up and also made a pledge and supported this movement. I would like to thank the venue people from Kopano Nokeng and also the events planner from the company called My Planner, easy to remember, Mr. Hayes and Calvin. Okay, someone else wrote this part for me. So as you can see, I'm trying to find my way. And also, moving along all the municipalities and provinces that were represented here. Okay, and also I have to thank Mr. Grina. Okay, this is a very interesting handwriting. But I would like to thank you, sir, from your media and communications company. And also, I'd like to thank the National Institute of Humanity and Social Sciences, the South African National Convention Bureau, the National Department of Human Settlements. A special thanks to my manager, my big boss, Mr. McLean, and also the National Housing Finance Corporation, Mr. Bruce Gordon, and Mr. Vutula Lutando. We attribute the success of this seminar we couldn't attribute the success of this seminar without all of you here. Thank you for sitting through the entire program till the last hour and for participating so robustly. I would like to also thank the virtual audience. I mean, I had to be responding to emails until midnight to people who were begging for virtual connection to say we really want to be a part of this, even though we cannot attend. So I appreciate our virtual audience. And I cannot, of course, leave out the behind-the-scenes people, such as Tumani, that I came all the way from Pretoria with. All you guys have worked hard to make sure that the plans and changes that kept coming up were implemented to achieve the vision and the aim of this event. And of course, the local organizing committee. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for being a beautiful audience. And I would like to close by saying, despite the current circumstances, South Africa is still God's treasure. And each one of you is part of that wealth. So go out there and give South Africans hope with what we have, with what we can do, and in our different spaces of influence. Go on to share your excellence. Travel safely, everyone. Thank you.